Good morning or evening, friends. I am Chad Big Bad Johnson, and this is the Splendiferous Mark It Down podcast. Along with me tonight, I have some highly knowledgeable and passionate wrestling fans. Guys, please introduce yourselves.
Hi guys, it's me, James, and I watched almost 20 hours of wrestling this weekend and I am exhausted, but I'm here because I love you guys and I love wrestling still, somehow.
Hey, I'm Daniel or Danny, whatever you prefer. And I'm also here.
Is it my turn?
It's your turn.
Oh shit. Hey guys, this is Nick. This is my first one. I'm number one.
Welcome.
Or
Finally.
number one. I've been here since the beginning and you guys had no idea. I also watched a lot of wrestling this week and oh boy. Oh boy, we have a lot to talk about today.
I think everybody is pretty spent, but let's get into the first topic. Of course, everyone wants to know how we all feel about Mr. Phillip Brooks. Let's talk about CM Punk, his debut. How we feeling?
I think Danny has to get this started because
Danny, please.
Danny literally has a CM Punk guy in his
So I maybe not as much as Eric, someone who has also not been on the pod yet, but I definitely shed some tears on Friday. It's one of those things, we knew it was coming, we knew it was going to happen, but since no one said it, that anticipation just sat in my fucking gut. Like, is this really happening? Like, I know it's happening, but until I see it, I don't know how I'm going to feel. Or like CM Punk said, I don't know how I'm going to feel. I just know I need to feel it. And when that first static hit, I was like, okay, it was a little different, but I'm like, this has to be it. Then it actually hit. I don't know. I wasn't one of those people that was worried about like MJF or any heel coming out and doing it. Like, I have too much trust in AEW. I knew they weren't going to do that shit. But I just felt so relieved. I threw my remote in happiness. I don't think I've ever done that. It was marked out so hard. And yeah, by the time he started hugging people at ringside and you could just see the emotion on his face, I teared up a little bit. I know we were talking about, mentioning the crying fan in the audience. That dude's a legend, man. I felt that dude.
I really have to say, I felt that guy.
Oh yeah.
Sure. I watched him and I'll tell you honestly, I knew I was like, I gotta get to a TV by 10 o'clock. I was like, I have to be in front of a TV at 10 o'clock. And my brother came and picked me up from work. I was like, I'm gonna go stay in the Bronx tonight, but I gotta watch AEW. We're driving home. I'm like, hurry up, no stopping. We're not going anywhere. I gotta get home. And we get the TV set up, turned on, and first thing I see is here's CM Punk coming out. You hear Cult of Personality on and freaking out. My phone starts blowing up. All of my friends are like, holy shit, this is real. It's finally it was such an incredible moment, for I think for all of us, I would say.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just the thing that we never thought we were ever going to see again. And that's what's cool about wrestling, is because they say never say never. And this is, I think, the biggest moment of never say never.
Oh man. In the last, I want to say the last 5 years, I'd say the only thing that could compete with this is maybe Edge's return.
Edge and Brian return.
Yeah, Brian is the other one.
Brian, I remember being at work and almost collapsed on the floor and was so happy.
I agree. I agree that they're but I don't think they're comparable, because I think those are amazing moments, whereas this is also an amazing moment, but there's so much more significance to it. Mm-hmm. Edge coming back, you feel good for Edge, but Punk coming back, it means a lot to wrestling in general.
if
it's actual like difference maker, whereas like Edge coming back is just amazing and we all feel good for him because we all love Edge, but like Punk coming back transcends the wrestling bubble, and one of the few things that does. So like I don't think they're only comparable as moments, but not in terms of like significance.
I think the biggest thing here, and I think the biggest thing that separates it from like Bryan and Punk, you hit the nail on the head how happy we were for them, because this was something that was out of their hands. As opposed to Punk, this was a decision he made. And I have long supported that decision. Back from the day he walked out, the night after that Royal Rumble, I supported that decision. But this was a decision that he made because he said, I need this for me. I love wrestling, but I'm not in love with it anymore. And it's a danger to me right now. The company I'm in is a danger to me. The way I've been doing things is a danger. And he made a decision for 7 years. I think the sign guy was 2,766 days. He made that decision to say, I need to do what's best for me. And there were plenty of people who doubted him. I think everybody can say they saw on Twitter or on Reddit or Facebook or wherever you talk about wrestling, oh, he'll be back. Everybody comes back. That was the line. Everybody comes back. But I believed it. I believed he said he was done and he meant it. He felt it. This is a little quick story. I got to meet Punk in Chicago the weekend of All In.
Awesome.
And it was a quick thing. He was signing at the Pro Wrestling Tees shop, and I got what I wanted from that meeting. I got to shake the man's hand, look him in the eye, and say thank you for everything you've done, and thank you for showing people that you can do anything you set your mind to, and you can decide when to stop. No one should be able to tell us how to live our dream. And Punk has exemplified that for, at this point, decades. I know there's so much that we could talk about with his MMA career, but again, another example of the man going out and saying, this is what I want to do, and I'm not going to let anybody tell me how to do it.
Right.
So more than Punk actually being back in AEW or being in AEW and being back in wrestling, as exciting as that is for me as a fan, as exciting as it is for me to think about who he's going to wrestle, the best thing for me is that this man felt for the first time in 7 years, you know what? I want to come back.
Right.
I can do this. The fact that he feels it again means more to me than any match that he could have. And that moment was emotional for me. And I love Punk, but I've never been like, Punk's not my number one guy. You know, right. I love Punk, but to see him have that moment where he belongs in front of that audience, it gave me hope. And that was the biggest thing that this weekend in terms of wrestling meant for me. I was hopeful for the first time in a long time when it came to wrestling. And Punk isn't the only reason, but Punk is what ushered in that feeling this weekend.
Absolutely.
Hope's a great word. Hope is a great word
Absolutely.
to describe it.
So
maybe hope is the word of the day today, but we'll find out. We'll see.
So in my head, it's so funny because we talk about Punk's been gone from wrestling for 7 years, but like no one ever mentions those videos that would show up of like guy who has the same tattoos and sweatshirt and like billed as CM Punk, like came out in a mask and like had to go to sleep on like, So like always been super interested, never had this conversation with anyone. Do you think it was Punk?
Oh, I absolutely think it was his friend's promotion. It was his friend's promotion. He did it in a way that it didn't matter if it was him or if it wasn't. He was just helping a friend out, and he knew it would create a moment. But even if we never find out, even if that was meant to be for him the last time he's ever in a ring, it was just fun. That was fun, and that's really what matters.
The only thing I have to say about CM Punk is I'm enamored. I'm psyched. I mean, like, I was speechless for like the first half of the show, even after he was long gone. Like, I mean, if we forget about the numbers and the ratings and all of that shit, for real, like this was solely, I think, for the culture. Like, I don't care about the pop he got, or like as James said earlier, like it just brought such a hope to me as a wrestling fan, because we've gone through some shitty spells back and forth, as we all know. But oh man, and then him putting over a new talent, Darby, and it's a I don't know how to feel yet still. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't cry, but I wanted to.
I think it's impressive that it was smart on their end, rather, I should say, to make that like the first thing in the show.
Absolutely.
Because the rest of the show would have been ruined with CM Punk chants all night until he went out there. So,
and you notice the fans didn't hijack the rest of the show.
Right.
And there were no CM Punk chants throughout the rest of the night. I'm sure there might have been moments where they were hyped for him, maybe during commercial breaks and stuff.
They show like a poster or whatever, like.
But they were treated with respect, and then they treated the show with respect. And I'm loving that. I'm loving that. And I just got to say one more thing to sort of compliment AEW real quick.
Let's go. Of course. We welcome that.
It's weird for me. It's been a long time since I felt that I was being offered something or promised something by a wrestling promotion and then didn't have to worry about that thing being delivered to me. When WWE teases us, it's honestly sometimes a 50-50 whether or not it's going to happen.
Right.
And even if we do get it, it's not the way we thought we were going to get it. When we get AEW promising us something or teasing us something, I'm not saying they give it to us exactly the way we thought we were going to get it, but they're not trying to screw with us.
Right.
And I think there were so many fans who were invested in this Friday that let's be honest, Punk gave AEW its second biggest TV numbers since the first episode of Dynamite in 2019. And they did it without saying Punk's name. They did it without advertising CM Punk.
Yep.
And the reason it did as well wasn't just the intrigue, is he going to show up? It was, I trust he's going to show up because AEW has been fair with me in the past. They've earned my trust.
Tony Khan basically confirmed it without confirming it. He was just kind of like,
we all know
I'm not going to let you guys down. Like,
yes,
I know, I hear you.
It's called supply and demand. I said it last week. I'll say it again. That's how you fucking start a show, damn it.
Yes.
I'm so excited.
To piggyback and also circle back to what Chad was saying on the hope aspect of things, it's only fitting that CM Punk brought us back hope as wrestling fans when he was, for 90% of wrestling fans from the last 15 years, what brought us hope 10 years ago with the pipe bomb. That was, the moment where some of us casual fans became hardcore fans, or some of us falling out of love with wrestling fans fell back in love with wrestling. And the other point of Chad's I wanted to piggyback off of was putting over a younger talent. Like, yeah, he mentioned Darby, but he went out of his way to make sure the first thing he said was a reference to Britt Baker.
Loved it.
Talking about, like, the very first thing he said was talking about, honestly, at this point, maybe the most over person in the company until he walked through the door. So, just nothing but good things coming from this. That's what the hope's all about, right?
Absolutely. And to talk about his former company for a little bit, we're going to steer over to WWE, biggest SummerSlam viewing ever. What do we think? Did you guys enjoy the show? Was it everything you needed? Was it the best SummerSlam?
No, not by far. I mean, there were some gems on there.
Absolutely,
there were.
Absolutely.
I mean, like, Edge and Rollins obviously delivered match of the night for me.
Yep.
it was so I was so drained at this point. I can't even remember what matches were on SummerSlam.
I mean, that was the best one. So
right. The only one I missed was who was it? AJ and Omos.
the tag title match.
Yeah, versus
which was a fun match.
It was fun. Randy is having a ball lately.
Him and Riddle like couldn't have been a better pairing that like no one ever asked for.
They're the only ones making Raw bearable, and they're not 100%. Making it bearable, but they're the only ones who feel like I gotta see what they're doing. I genuinely
look forward to a Randy Orton and Matt Riddle segment on Raw. I will say that.
Agreed.
Like as much as like Vince doesn't want to push Riddle in the way that like we want to see Riddle, like there's no way that you can't put him on TV every week. No, he is arguably the most interesting person on Monday Night Raw, like weekly.
One of.
You can tell Vince loves Riddle. You can tell he loves Riddle. This is the Vince equivalent of giving someone a push without making them a main eventer.
I also think we need to acknowledge that it's a slow burn, but you could tell, like, we might not be having him shoved down our throats or anything, but they're putting him with the most tenured guy in the company on Raw. They're putting him.
He's on Randy TV Orton. Every week.
He's on TV every week. He looks like a star. Agreed. Like this isn't Randy and a rookie. This is Randy Orton, someone who is notorious for either manipulating people or staying by himself. He's finding someone who he considers almost like worth his time.
Right.
And in itself, that's a compliment. I would take that more than I would take the Raw Tag Team Championship.
You know, you would think with how much WWE loves to cross promote, they make zero mention of like Riddle being like an MMA guy. That's like I don't think they could say UFC specifically, because obviously I know Matt Riddle and Dana White have their like weird relationship, and like everything that happened. So I feel like on like Vince's point, it's probably okay. Well, like I don't want people looking up Matt Riddle's UFC career, because then it's going to show like all of those problems. But
I also think the moment you mention his MMA career is the moment the casual fans are going to want what Riddle wants, which is him to have a match with Brock.
Yeah.
And I think considering that match is almost 100% not going to happen because Brock just does not want to. Right. I think it's one of those things that,
which is
for
so
now,
weird,
it's a good
because
idea.
Brock wants to work with those kinds of guys.
Yeah, he has his best matches.
Brock wants to work with the AJ Styles and the Ricochets and the young guys that he can like, okay, like you're gonna do a lot of really cool stuff and make me look good.
But Brock is very finicky as well, though.
Exactly.
He's very finicky.
I think Brock doesn't want to work with someone that, quite frankly,
shit about him.
Yeah, I don't think he wants to work with someone that he doesn't respect in some way. And I think Riddle, who, to put it nicely, has a history of rubbing certain people the wrong way.
Mm-hmm. Mainly two people, but yeah.
Oh no, it's more. If we're
mainly two. There's plenty more, but there's the big two.
But the big two.
B and G.
But I think, I don't blame Brock for not wanting to have that match. Just like I don't blame Goldberg for not wanting to have that match.
And what's hilarious is Matt would be absolutely happy with going out there and getting the absolute shit kicked out of him by Brock Lesnar.
Right. I think so too.
He just wants to say, I wrestled Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
And like
the only thing, Brock, how do we all feel about his return?
Keep this new look on him. Don't get like afraid and make him like buzz cut and clean shave again. Mm-hmm. Keep this new look. Like I want to see like old man Brock Lesnar. I want to see Brock go into
cool
this
I'm cool with it.
Like, you know what? I came in, I dominated, I was the beast. Now I just want to have some fun matches. Like I want to go out there and like put him in tights again.
Yeah.
Forget about the UFC shorts or whatever. Throw him in tights again. I mean, again, obviously it's up to him, but like let him go out there, German suplex some people,
I barely feel anything about it. Like it wasn't a big deal to me.
Boo! I'm booing you.
Yeah,
Boo.
sure, but cool. Yeah, enjoy the same match. We got it 2 different WrestleManias and a SummerSlam. Cool.
So
excited for it.
In the context of like Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, no, I'm not excited because we've seen it 4 times already.
We haven't. No, we haven't.
But we haven't seen it at this caliber. I must say, I'm not the biggest Roman Reigns fan, but I would be remiss if I didn't say that Roman Reigns has had the biggest year of his career, and he's gotten
I'm
so
sure
much better that now it's almost literally like, I feel like James is going to say it as well.
I'm sure
it's different now. It's a different match.
And I felt like that too. But even watching that match against Cena, I was just kind of like, oh, this is like, I saw this already.
Yeah.
Like,
I
know what they're doing.
And but just to be a little bit more negative before James explodes on us with his positivity, I agree with the Cena thing, because it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, it's fine. But we all know Roman's gonna win, and that's fine. And as good as Roman has been in the past year, once the match starts, it feels kind of pointless. It all just feels kind of pointless. And I have a huge gripe with certain aspects of Reigns' booking, especially because a lot of it hasn't changed. He's just a heel now. He's still fighting the legends. They're still throwing all the legends at him and all the part-timers. And this, I don't want to get into this too much. I literally want to make like a full 10-minute video about this, but you cannot convince me otherwise. Edge was actually the odd man out in the triple threat match at WrestleMania, not Daniel Bryan. The story should have been Bryan versus Reigns, but instead we had to have Reigns fight a legend so he could beat another legend to put that feather in his cap. Great. Edge was the odd man out.
Could you also arguably say that Bryan is also a legend?
Yes, but
a different legend.
But not the way. Yeah, he's still an active one, whereas Edge was the returning legend.
But what's the difference? Because Bryan's 4 years younger than Edge or something like that. He retired.
I think
he retired for the same reason as Edge.
I think the difference is Bryan, and let me preface this by saying I'm loving Edge's usage on SmackDown. I think they're using him exactly the way he should be used.
Oh yeah, God. For the most part, yeah, I agree with that too. I'm not
But Bryan is a very different case of a guy who is working every show.
Yeah, one's a part-timer, one's not.
And Edge, again, I'm not taking away from anything Edge is doing. I know he's there every SmackDown, cutting promos, doing his thing, but they're using him a lot more sparingly. Mm-hmm. And I love that Rumble return for him. I love that win for him. It was a great feel-good moment. But Bryan and Roman have a history.
Yes, and that's my whole point about it, is that Bryan is literally the reason Roman is where he is now. All of Roman's backlash started from the fact that he's not Daniel Bryan.
Absolutely.
And there's so much more history there, so much more of a better story, as opposed to, oh my God, we both do spears. Let's have a spear match at WrestleMania.
That's always my biggest fear, is sometimes, unfortunately, they'll put 2 wrestlers in a match against each other who have the same finisher, and it's now you have to do a thing where oh, this person's gonna spear. Oh, it's reversed into another spear. It's when they did when they were going for Reigns and Goldberg. All I could think about that entire match was just it's just, they're just gonna spear people. That's all this is. And I remember years ago they did a Rob Van Dam versus Eddie Guerrero match, and the entire match they just talked about, who's gonna hit the frog splash first, who's the frog splash master. And I think that's literally what the match was based around.
That's what the feud was around.
It was just you have my finisher, and it's
So I got us very sidetracked from the Brock Lesnar part of it.
No.
It's fine. We're marks.
It's almost like we enjoy wrestling and we want to talk about it.
Shut up, you marks.
But all right, I have been patient, but I need y'all to know.
Oh, we got to move on to the next thing.
Boo again. Boo, Danny. Boo. I have opinions, and they're going to be shared.
Let's go.
First of all, that Roman Cena match, the match itself was pretty. It was a Cena match.
It was
Very much
standard.
so.
It was standard.
It was a standard Cena match.
Yeah.
And you know what? As a Cena diehard, I'm just happy to see him in the ring again.
Agreed.
But I understand that for a SummerSlam main event, it might not have been what everyone wanted, but it was just it was nice to have that big match feel. The same way, I mean, I'm not going to compare it to the same magnitude, obviously, so please don't like attack me for it. But the same way Rock Hogan was not a 5-star classic, it was more about the feel of the match. That's what I got from this too.
I actually agree.
Roman was the feel. It was the returning hero saying, I know I'm better than you. You need to prove it to me. And Roman proved it. But beyond that, going into Brock, it is well documented. I hate that man. He has been ruining my wrestling life since I was like 11 years old.
Amen.
Oh shit.
He has made me cry in arenas as a child. He has attacked and destroyed every hero I have in wrestling. He debuted, destroyed Jeff Hardy and his brother Matt. His first title win, I was there when he took the title off The Rock, and I am the only friggin' child in that arena cheering The Rock. And everyone booed him out of the arena. He built Suplex City on the remains of John Cena's carcass.
As he should have.
Yeah, that was the right thing.
He derailed Roman Reigns' push.
He did.
As he should have.
Mania. I'm not in the mood, Nick. I need you to know I'm not in the mood.
That's trauma.
It's no, I am a broken
trauma.
man. I am broken. And he wiped the floor with Daniel Bryan. This man is my nemesis. He is my doomsday.
I wouldn't even say he wiped the floor with Daniel Bryan.
That match was amazing. That was
match
Brock's
was
best match.
Daniel was maybe like the only person who I've ever watched fight Brock Lesnar and went,
He might win.
Shit,
he might
he's
just
gonna do
this.
this.
Like, yeah.
I love
and then of course he didn't, and like everyone's just like,
I'll add that I thought AJ Styles maybe would have gotten the win.
Yeah, that was close too. That was good one.
AJ's
Sorry,
match
James.
was really good too.
You were ramping up still.
Let me just wrap this up.
Mm-hmm.
All that said, I was screaming like a child when Brock came out because this match, yes, we've seen it several times, not even twice. We've seen it like 4 times
3
now.
times at least.
They've been in matches together like
several times.
More than anyone Brock has been in a ring with since he's come back in what was it, 2013 is when he came back?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that said, I am so excited for this because for the first time, I think ever, I'm going to be cheering Brock Lesnar against Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
This man didn't come back. I don't think he came back for the title. I think he came back for his Paul. Yeah. And I want to see a Paul on a pole match. I want
forklift.
A Paul and panties match.
A Paul and panties match.
I am, as someone who likes to talk, I am now speechless. But I love this dynamic. You guys keep saying we've seen this match so many times. I don't think we have. We have seen this match several times as Roman Reigns, who needs to prove I am the young hero who's going to conquer Brock Lesnar. I'm going to conquer the conqueror. Nuh-uh. This time, I agree. This is the guy who's now telling Brock, you're coming back to me, and now you need to prove yourself to me. And I think that is such an incredible dynamic. We're dealing with a heel full of himself, Roman. Every time Roman has fought Brock in the past, he's got that Samoan bravado, but you could tell there's that fear. And while Roman is a heel, he's going to show some fear here. This is the first time now where the tables have turned. Brock is going to be wrestling a babyface match, and Roman isn't going to be the guy who just throws himself at Brock. He is going to be wrestling like a heel against Brock Lesnar, and I cannot wait to see that. I think this dynamic is going to be phenomenal, and I think we're going to see Roman once again. I think I have no doubt there's going to be fuckery. I'm sure the Usos are going to get involved, but we're going to see, I think, a very different match out of Roman than we've seen since he's been a heel. And I'm
also very fearful that they're going to give the win to Brock. And
I doubt it.
I doubt it.
When it comes to Brock Lesnar and Vince McMahon, I will never, ever, ever be surprised by Brock Lesnar winning a match that he has no business winning.
I think they've gotten better about it.
What was it? WrestleMania 34? Was that when they did the Lesnar? They finally pulled the trigger on Lesnar Reigns main event.
No, do you mean the
34
first time?
Was the second one?
Yeah, that was the second one.
Or was that 32?
No, 32. All right, 31 was Roman Brock the first time.
Yes,
where Seth cashed in.
Yes, fantastic.
And then 32 was Roman Triple H.
Yes, and then 33 was Roman Undertaker.
Yes, and then
Brock
34.
Goldberg. 34 was
Roman.
So
Brock.
so 34. Everyone thought Roman was winning. That was just like,
I mean, he should have.
Yeah, he should have. And like, of course, Brock won, and that was like, okay, that's just a case of like
Swerving for the
Brock's
sake of
just
the swerve.
Brock's just gonna win matches he has no business. So like, I could absolutely see them doing that because they're gonna go, okay, now Brock's gonna be the unbeatable guy again, and this is what we paid him millions of dollars to do.
And speaking of unbeatable, we got to do it, guys. We got to shift over to I'm gonna save Danny for last. Speaking of comebacks, though, we got to shift over to the unbeatable, the man, Becky Lynch. How you feel about that, James?
So I'll be honest with you guys. I watched the beginning of SummerSlam stuck in traffic on the way home from like a 3-hour drive. Now, shit. PSA to everybody, I was totally safe. I was literally, the car was in park. That's how bad this traffic was.
Sheesh. Even
then, despite that, I somehow crashed the car. I somehow came this close to crashing the car. Okay. When Becky came out. The wheel went a spinning. My girlfriend, I woke her up from her nap. I was freaking out for Becky, and I don't think I've gone from such a high to such a low in such a quick amount of time. Let me preface. I love Becky. I think she is the most popular. I think she is the best women's wrestler in the game today. Maybe not technically, but she is by far the biggest name in women's wrestling. And I think putting her back in the title picture makes sense. I think making her champion makes sense. They shouldn't have done it the way they did it.
I agree. Nick, how you feel?
Yeah.
He sighs.
It takes the air out of the room. I get it. They did it for a pop. They did it because, oh my God, Becky Lynch is back and she just won the title but like, don't you think people would have wanted to have seen a little bit of, I get it, like there's not enough time to put a match together. It was all very last minute. But like, why do the match right there? You know, you could have had Becky come back and like make a statement. I think that would have led to a bigger moment, but we'll get their match. It'll be great.
Exactly.
I'm excited she's back. I mean, you know, I've been waiting for her to come back since the day she left.
Yep. To piggyback off of you and James, before we get to Danny, because I'm sure Danny has a lot to say. I'm in agreement with you guys. Like all of the happiness and the joy and excitement went from 100 to 0 almost rapidly. I love Becky Lynch as much as anybody else. I would probably second that. I think she's the best female wrestler right now in the WWE. And I just feel like everything that we've gotten lately from Bianca to literally bury her in 5 seconds was the most disgusting, disrespectful thing ever. Like, I was hyped, I was excited, I was ready. I was like, oh, this is going to be a great match. Bianca is talented as hell. This is going to be awesome. And then we got, just it did create a moment. I will give WWE that. They know how to create a damn moment for sure. But it just deflated me. So I'm gonna end what I say before I get a little disrespectful, and we're gonna head over to our Becky Lynch stan, which would be Daniel. Go ahead, Danny.
Stan's a good word to use. So I was very excited. Becky Lynch is honestly my favorite. I make this comparison all the time. She is CM Punk and Daniel Bryan. She reached their levels of popularity, their status of, we love this person so much, you have to push them, you cannot ignore us. Because let's be real, Becky Lynch was on a trajectory where she was going to be SmackDown Women's Champion, she was going to lose to Ronda at Survivor Series, and then that was it. Like, her career was never going to get past that moment. But we, the fans, carried her past that to the point where they had to make her face, and she had to main event WrestleMania. I can say over the last 3 years, I care more about women's wrestling in WWE than the entire men's roster. Because for every Seth Rollins that I love or Finn Balor that I love, they hit a brick wall and there's just like no getting over that. Seth Rollins hasn't really hit that wall, but we all know Finn Balor, Nakamura, plenty of other people we love have hit that wall. With women's wrestling in WWE, you can hit that wall time and time again and things can still work out. Becky was a freaking jobber before 2018. And in 2018, before she lost the triple threat at SummerSlam, she was gaining momentum. She had all this momentum on her side, and I was excited. I basically have one of my closest friendships now because we would talk about Becky Lynch nonstop, like for weeks and months after SummerSlam, up until she main evented WrestleMania. So, point is, I love Becky Lynch. That's the point of all that. But I can actually say I was not looking forward to her return before this. Like, I was not, because WWE has been so bad, women's division especially, over the past 12 months, I would say, that it was unbearable. So I was actually really not excited for her to come back. I was hoping it wouldn't be till the Rumble to go into Mania season, because who is there for her to face? Like, on Raw, there's literally nobody. I do not want to ever see her step foot in the ring with Charlotte again. Rhea could have been a good challenger, but she's fallen into the Charlotte vortex. And then there's no one else on Raw. Alexa Bliss is supernatural, and that's fine. That's whatever. But on SmackDown, the only person, or there's multiple people. You have Sasha, you have Bayley, and you have Bianca. Bayley's injured. Sasha, who knows what? I'm going to assume it could be COVID related. We'll see after 2 weeks passes whether she's back or not. We're not sure. But
I mean,
Bianca was the only one.
Like all of the younger talent that they're calling up now too.
Sure. Yeah, but they need time.
Tegan Knox and Shotzi, once they're like full official like main roster guys, they'll have some fun matches with
Becky. And Becky wants to elevate those people. She does.
Oh yeah.
But like, they have no one set up for her comeback. They were not preparing for her comeback at all. All this time, they've had time.
Also, arguably, Toni Storm,
who hasn't been on TV in 3 weeks. Who hasn't been on
TV, and like you debuted her, and
holy crap, I forgot she was on the main roster.
Yeah.
Wow. Toni Storm is on SmackDown. She hasn't been on TV in 3 weeks.
Right.
And she can be your like biggest star.
Yeah, these people
she's definitely
have the potential.
She's definitely got the biggest ass sets.
Nice.
But
boy. Yeah, so they have people that they could be lining up. They should have been preparing this ahead of time. But anyway, so it made sense to put Becky on SmackDown. Forget about the fact that Seth Rollins is on SmackDown. That's
100% why they did
it. But like, yeah,
that's 100%.
But like, SmackDown has the better roster for her to come back to, regardless.
Oh yeah.
Granted, though, the biggest person on that roster for her to face was Bianca. and now they've already tarnished that. And like I said, I'm very biased. I'm always gonna love Becky.
Right.
I am so disappointed that she now has to receive backlash because of this weird decision. And supposedly there's mixed reports out there that it was her call to turn heel, which is fine. I don't think you do that right away. I think you enjoy the return for at least a month before you start sowing those seeds. But I'm very, very upset at the time it's come. Like, this is my top 3 favorite wrestlers, period, like of all time. And one of them was CM Punk, who just returned to wrestling. So, I'm so upset that this was her comeback and this is what they did. And like, it's already tarnished. Like, and this is why I didn't want it. This is why I actually genuinely didn't want her to come back yet until things were better, which I don't know when they would ever be better. So maybe that was hopeless. Right. You know what? She should have just gone to Hollywood. Like,
so two quick things before we move forward. I don't think any match she has with Bianca is going to be tainted, simply because
they'll be great.
Just the same way when Goldberg came back and he squashed Brock in a minute and a half and people were shocked.
Yeah,
it just built up to what came later, which was their Rumble their Rumble like little interaction, and then
the Mania match,
That's my only optimism. I agree.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about when we did the live reaction afterwards. Like, it's not the end. Like, it's a bad. I wouldn't have done it. I'm not advocating for it, but I genuinely think their mentality was, we're going to ride the wave of this big pop. We're going to take all the momentum. We don't want to lose that crowd reaction and that loudness, because the middle of a match is always quieter than the beginning and the end of a match. Yeah. So they just skipped the middle of the match. And I'm not saying that's the right move, but that's what I think they were going for. Yeah. But anyway, James, sorry, continue.
No. You made a great point. And my other point is, I think the thing they've got to be worried about now is, you were mentioning backlash. I don't think Becky's going to be getting backlash. I think the creative is going to be getting backlash.
Absolutely. And that's who deserves it.
I don't think anyone's blaming Becky for this. Even if it was her call to turn heel, maybe this isn't the way she would have done it. But I think I could see her getting cheered, but they're almost being apathy here. Instead of people booing her the way WWE and I guess Becky wants to be booed, I think we're just probably going to be hearing crickets, which is actually worse, I think.
Oh, I doubt we'll hear crickets, but I get what you mean, though. Like,
Yeah.
So reaction's a reaction. If there's no reaction, it's bad.
That's true. All right, guys. So we talked about Becky Lynch. We talked about Bianca Belair. It's only right that we talk about the one person who was fucking missing. What do we think is going on with the great Sasha Banks?
I lost on the boss.
I love that. I hate that I loved it, but I loved it. I don't want to speculate too much because clearly this is a private matter. I think we could all agree we hope she's okay. From what I've heard, they're expecting her to be cleared relatively soon.
Okay.
That could mean within the next month, that could mean within the next week. Not entirely sure. I think Sasha, God willing, she's okay and she's able to come back within the next couple of weeks. I think she's actually the first feud Becky should have.
I was just going to ask if we thought that should be a go.
I think Becky will help ease Becky into the heel role as opposed to going full throttle with Bianca.
Agreed.
But yeah, I don't know what's going on with Sasha. People are being very tight-lipped, other than the fact that she's gonna be okay and we shouldn't expect her out for too long. But who knows,
What you got, Nick?
I don't know. This is kind of one of those things in wrestling where you're just like, there was no real indication. It just happened.
Right.
There's so much speculating. Oh, she's, anti-vax. It's this, it's that, blah, blah, blah. And it's just kind of like, what do we do? You know, like,
Right.
so you bring Becky back. Awesome. Becky's going to be the heel. Cool. Love it. Where does Sasha fit? Because Sasha is also a phenomenal heel and was like very clearly going to be geared up to be SmackDown's top heel. I loved the little Carmella, Zelina Vega faction thing she had going on for a little bit. Love me some Zelina. Please make her like the face of wrestling.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
100% like offer as Zelina, like I'm gonna hijack this Sasha Banks thing and say, Zelina Vega, I want you on TV more.
I also love Zelina. Danny, what you think? Do we get Sasha Becky?
I could see that happening. I just think with Sasha, we don't know. It hasn't been long enough to really speculate too hard. Like when people disappear in the past year, and I wait 2 weeks to see, you know, because it could just be COVID. They could have just tested positive, so we got to wait 2 weeks. It could be something more. Sasha takes some of the craziest bumps. Maybe she has some nagging injuries. Right. We don't know. And I would be into Sasha Becky. I think it would be weird if Becky does turn full heel, but if she is a slow burn and she doesn't turn heel right away, Sasha's perfect for that.
So my only thing too is, how long do you think they can keep Becky heel for?
Like 3 months before people start cheering for her again anyway.
It's not gonna last. You know there's gonna be this like massive backlash against it. People are going to cheer for Becky Lynch no matter who they put him against. As much as I think I like Bianca Belair, and as much as I think I've warmed up to her, and the like WWE universe and just wrestling fans in general, whatever, have warmed up to her, I still don't see her being like the one to deter the cheers from Becky. I think Becky is still much bigger than Bianca.
I think in the short term she can take some away, but I also think it's weird that we haven't seen a heel Bianca on the main roster, because I feel like she's
I feel like heel Bianca. So my other issue too is like Bianca and Sasha's gimmicks are very similar.
Agreed.
So like it would be weird to have either like them being face together. All right, whatever. Like it is what it is. But like them being heels together, it's the same character. So like I don't want to see, unless you're going to put them together, I don't really want to see heel Bianca as long as heel Sasha. Now the
I think they're similar characters, but like
it's different. But
it's different because Bianca's, like, I would say she would be a more dominant heel, where it's like Sasha would be a more cowardly heel because Bianca's just stronger than most of the other women.
But I don't think Sasha has never exhibited being a cowardly heel. Sasha's always been
she's kind of been also heel.
She's an underhanded. She's an underhanded heel. She's gonna be the one to cheat.
Bailey's been a cowardly heel. Bailey's been an underhand. Like Bailey's heel run is perfect, but I think even Sasha heel has always. I don't think she's ever cheated to win anything. I think she's always. I mean, maybe like small victories, but like her big matches, like I think she's always got someone to tap out, you know, or whatever.
I mean, she looks great. So whether she's heel or face, she in the optics.
But I agree that like Bianca, if Bianca turns heel, like she should absolutely be booked that way as well. And also the draft is coming up.
Yeah.
Throw one of them on Raw.
I would like to see.
Who knows when? All right, go ahead, Chad.
No, I was just saying I would love to see one of them on Raw. Speaking of seeing on Raw, what do we think about
Demolition Cross?
Karrion Kross's new attire.
Can we give our answers in like 5 words or less?
Oh Lord.
I could do it. I could do it. I could do it in 4 words.
I think it sucks. I think it sucks.
James.
I love Mad Max.
I love Mad Max. That is 4
James.
words.
James is a big fan of gimp suits.
No, I mean, What I do in my private time is my business, and it's not for the podcast. Okay, that's a very different podcast. Okay.
Okay, I have a quick question. Not to deter from the current conversation, it's about Karrion Kross. Did anyone not get Goro from Mortal Kombat vibes?
I see that. I see that.
So it's
Okay.
funny. It's funny you say that because I was just about to mention. I was going to say it's bad, but it's not as bad as Tommaso Ciampa coming out at Takeover in his like weird scorpion mask.
Oh
thing.
shit! I almost forgot about that. And,
Hey man,
that they used once because it was bad.
and
Hey, man.
speaking of Takeover,
wait, no, I just gotta defend Ciampa there. That look was cool enough that Ringside Collectibles made it an exclusive, and we need to acknowledge that.
I don't like. I think it was cool because it was Tommaso Ciampa. I think
agree.
anyone
I
else
agree.
wearing that outfit would not.
But Johnny has been wearing lowercase vest for years, and he
Yeah,
just let
but
him
Johnny's
slide
been
with
wearing
it.
like cool like comic book versions
That's
and like
the only
pop culture.
only reason we make it acceptable. You know, the
Right,
vest
exactly.
is too small.
He
Nick.
came out.
You know
He came out. His literal what was it? Takeover. Is it in your house? Yeah. He came out dressed as Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, that was great. That was
That was
great.
awesome.
It was. That was great.
Just to keep it on Cross so we can move on. It's very clear this was we got to figure out a way to take this guy who wrestles in black trunks, doesn't have any real defining look to him. We got to figure out a way to merchandise him, and market him, and that's what it is.
So here's my biggest issue with that. You could have avoided that by like you can keep his whole like I like his little like belt thing, like the long belt thing he has on his trunks that like look very Spartan-esque, like warrior-esque, if that makes sense. I think that looks awesome. I also think it looks awesome when he cuts those promos backstage with Scarlett, who should be there with him.
Where the hell is she?
Where is Scarlett?
They're so the last I heard, they're waiting. They're doing like a storyline thing where they're waiting to put her on TV because they want Cross to go through this like weird like lull of losses, some wins here and there. Like I think Cross's booking is going to be very, very, very 50-50 for a little bit until they bring her to TV, and all of a sudden Scarlett is his like motivation to be
Makes sense.
monster heel.
Speaking of losses,
I think I have just the best way to wrap up the Cross thing. Give up on him. Just get over it. Take the loss. Find other wrestlers to like. Move on.
I don't like that because I like Cross. I think Cross,
and that's a loss you're gonna take.
Cross is very fun on the microphone. When he's with Scarlett, he's got a cool entrance.
This is past tense now.
I don't want to see him booked as like Maven.
Oh my god!
You know,
wow,
Nick.
Wow, guys, I didn't
be
realize
so
it was
lucky.
2002.
He'd be lucky.
Holy crap!
He's getting Maven booking right now.
Well, Maven beat the Undertaker. However,
right.
Let's
All right,
move.
Chad, go ahead.
Let's move.
You know who else did? Jeff Hardy.
Oh, love Jeff.
What did I do? Who did I piss off in this conversation?
You know he's a stan. But shifting over to the losses of Karrion, we got to talk about, and I want a hand clap from everyone. I don't care how you feel. Samoa Joe, 3-time NXT champion. Come on.
Oh yeah.
Come on.
May
Samoa Joe shirt.
May I add, 3-time NXT champion with the Muscle Buster.
Finally!
With the
Muscle Buster.
With the Muscle Buster.
Screw you, Tyson Kidd.
Damn.
That was dark.
First of all, he does not speak for all of us.
I don't actually mean that.
I know,
I'm saying
but
that's what they're saying, right?
We love some Tyson Kidd.
Well,
also,
we love Tyson.
speaking of Tyson Kidd, where the hell is fucking Davy Boy.
I think they're waiting for the right time to debut him, and I get it. I mean, I love Harry, but
DH,
I don't think
baby.
I don't think people are clamoring for that. But sticking to it, that match was good.
Mhm.
I don't think Joe looked his best, but again, like, let's give the man credit. It was his first match in over a year.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know,
Sure.
let's give him a little bit of time to get rid of the ring rust. The Muscle Buster feels so much like, okay, the main roster bandit, but you know, you could have it in NXT. And I think his championship reign isn't going to necessarily be a long one. I think it's more about saying Samoa Joe is the first 3-time NXT champion. And I think it's
we fired
about,
you.
yeah. Yes, and I think it's about, we needed to transition the title off of Cross, and we're gonna put it on somebody else.
So
And,
who do you think beats Joe?
well, NXT just did an angle tonight where they had a bunch of people. Joe came out to the ring and said, "I'm ready to fight. Who wants to fight me?" Pete Dunn came
Followed
out
by 10 people.
Yeah,
Right. Cool
Pete Dunn was
Kyle.
Pete Dunn versus Samoa Joe has me salivating. Kyle O'Reilly versus Samoa Joe should be exciting. I like LA Knight for the character he is. I don't necessarily see him meshing all that well with Joe, but at least it's going to be different.
It's gonna be a very 2010 TNA kind of match.
Exactly.
Agreed.
Like, switch him out with Nick Aldis and it's the same thing.
Right.
And,
Eli Drake.
Ethan
No matter
Yeah.
how many names you switch on him, he's like great talker, okay in the ring.
Yeah, but if you're good, you can get away with it.
Right. Like his match with Grimes, it was good. It was great. I liked it. I had a fun time.
It told the story.
It did. He's a good storyteller.
Moving past Knight, I think the one that we should all be excited for is he's the only person who didn't really take a shot at Joe. He didn't cut a promo on Joe, but Ciampa was glaring Goldie down.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we can all agree, even though things changed significantly under Ciampa's run as NXT champion, I think he's one of the best NXT champions that brand had.
Absolutely.
And him going after Goldie one more time with Joe as the champion, that's exciting. I don't think anyone is not anticipating that match.
And Joe and Ciampa cutting promos on each other, sign me up.
So, I mean, that's just
you could do Joe and Johnny.
Exactly. I mean, they have the little bit of history. So
that's
what does everyone else think? What does everyone else think? Who do you want to see Joe versus?
So
I kind of wish that they didn't call Finn Balor up, because this would have been I know, but to have that like callback match.
Yeah.
I could get behind that. I'm piggybacking off James. I gotta go Ciampa. If not Ciampa, Gargano. I mean, those are the two solid matches that I just know, as he said, I would be salivating as well. Like, I need one or the other. And Absolutely. The last person, I would say, I mean, we all kind of want to see Cole versus
good luck with that. Good luck with that.
Which brings us to our next topic, but I'll let
Danny didn't get to go.
I got you. I'll let Danny speak before we switch it
up. So in general, I'm actually I'm not a fan of main roster people going back down to NXT. Most cases, it feels like a cop-out. Not a cop-out, but it feels like in kayfabe, you couldn't hack it in the main roster, so now you're going back down here. But Joe is like one of the exceptions where I'm like, this is great. Joe being a 3-time champ is great. I'm all there for it.
Yep.
Joe deserves it. And he's just going to make whoever he drops his house, he was going to look amazing. I don't keep up with NXT enough to know a lot of the people who have been more persistent on the show, but I would obviously go with the Ciampa one because, like I said earlier, those promos, battles back and forth will be so nice. They both play that lunatic character so well. So that's pretty much all I got to say about Joe. He deserves it. He's one of the few.
I do have a dark horse answer.
Yeah.
Ridge Holland.
Absolutely not. As I
That's
stated before, he is the most like, you want to talk about Maven characters.
Wow, poor guy.
I know he's technically he's working on a different division right now, but my boy Roddy.
I would like
Roddy and Joe
That
in a who can make their chest redder match
Well,
with those chops.
I mean, you mentioned chopping, and I've got to bring up the one that I before we switch over. Walter. Give me Walter versus Samoa Joe.
Oh my god.
To quote Biggie, I want big, meaty men slapping meat together, and I want Walter and Joe to slap each other's meat. I said it, and I don't even feel bad about it. I'm looking at everyone in the audience right now. I'm looking at you. I want them to slap each other's meat.
Pause.
We have a title for the episode, I guess.
Oh my god.
Slap each other's meat.
But I must say, I did not think about that in James. That is fucking gold.
He just lost the UK title.
Gold.
He just lost the UK title. He's got to do something.
He's in a stable. It makes sense on all fronts. Damn, yeah. I want this. I want it bad.
I mean, that's like a perfect booking decision too, because like you really think about it, like what do you do with Walter after all that?
Right. But we have to shift it over to the before mentioned Adam Cole.
Baby.
Baby. What do we think is what's going on with Adam Cole, guys?
So contractually, he is not a free agent until Friday. So at least that's what's being reported. Even though he did this short extension, this is a very unique case. So don't expect to see him on Dynamite. If he does, sorry guys, I was wrong. But from what's being reported, he's not going to be a free agent until Friday. That's not to say like he might not last minute re-sign with WWE. I'm hearing that they're doing one last big push to get him. There's going to be another meeting to grab him. I think AEW is way too enticing for him with his best friends, his girlfriend, and just the direction that NXT is going and just what his ceiling may be on the main roster in WWE. I personally would love to see him in AEW, but I think he's one of those talents that no matter where he goes, people are going to follow him to some degree. Okay. And he is going to be a benefit to whatever show he ends up on. Again, I hope it's AEW, and I think he would be a perfect partner for Hangman, someone who was ousted by the Bullet Club, ousted by the Elite specifically.
Love that.
Have him come in to support Hangman, have him have a match with Kenny, and that's a good in-between feud until Hangman comes back. And then who knows from there. I just did a lot of fantasy booking, but I think that's the beautiful nature of who Adam Cole is. You could fit him in anywhere and it will make sense.
I agree.
So I think it's like 50-50 with Cole, like, because it makes so much sense for him to go to AEW. There's so much for him there. You can't wrestle CM Punk anywhere but AEW, you know? But they love him so much, and he clearly loves being there so much.
Yeah.
But what's left for him to do there? Like the main roster, that's not a factor. The main roster is not a factor for Adam Cole. He's someone who would do well on the main roster and probably not suffer from the call-up curse as much as the rest of the people have. But to what end, really? Whereas in AEW, it's limitless. I didn't even think about the Hangman Page stuff you just said, and now that's all I want to see, like, so badly. I want that so much. Like,
so it's weird because as much as I would love to see Adam Cole go to AEW. Like, there's so much story to be told. Someone who was following, his time in Bullet Club and with the Elite so closely, like that was like peak, to me, that was peak Ring of Honor. Mm-hmm. You had Adam and Marty and the Bucks and Cody just running roughshod over Ring of Honor, over Japan. It was awesome. You want to see it again. You want to see the band get back together. But I also think one of the big things now that Brian's gone is WWE doesn't have that guy that they can really, that like you really feel like has just the desire to just have a good match. Like you could say Cesaro, you could say Rollins, Kevin Owens, but I really think that Brian was almost on a different level than all of them.
Agreed.
Agreed.
And they need someone of that world, of that like independent wrestling world that like the hardcore fans are going to get behind. Someone like Adam Cole. I think of those guys, Adam Cole is like your most marketable guy. He may be a little smaller in stature, but like he gives you a very like Shawn Michaels vibe.
And does he get the time on the main roster?
I would say so.
I think it. So to react to what you just said, I think WWE needs Cole more than
Cole needs them.
Cole needs them
100%.
And beyond that, they might need him now, but how far are they willing to push that? Cole has thrived in I agree. Cole has thrived in NXT under Triple H and Shawn Michaels.
So the one thing I will say with Cole is it could be a situation of we're going to put you on TV and you've got 30 seconds to catch lightning in a bottle.
And that's terrible.
Absolutely.
And I should be able to do that.
But I think Adam Cole can do it. I think in 30 seconds, Adam Cole is one of those few people who will have you hooked.
I just want to say, as someone who is a huge fan of Cole and was a huge fan of the Undisputed Era, I think if you're going to debut Cole on the main roster, you do it with the Undisputed Era and then eventually do that breakup storyline on the main roster.
Yeah, I agree.
I think having him debut by himself, I think he's charismatic enough to do it. I think he's talented enough to do it. I think he's a star, but it doesn't matter what we think of him. It matters if, like you said, he can impress not us in 30 seconds. It's if he can impress the powers that be in 30 seconds.
Well, and that's what I'm saying is understand that, like, so when they were doing the whole like NXT call up or whatever, that they call it the, what was it, Survivor
Invasion.
Series, the invasion. Yeah. Cole was the guy that Triple H and Shawn were out there for.
Yep.
They weren't out there for anyone else. Like Adam Cole was very clearly like their guy that they were like, hey, look, we're bringing all of our dudes up, but like, this is the guy that we want you to keep an eye on.
Right.
And then he went out there and beat their world champion clean.
Former world champion.
Brian wasn't champ at the time. He wasn't champ at the time.
No, Brian
sure?
wasn't champ. Yeah, Brian lost.
Yeah, 100% sure. Because he didn't go to the Saudi show. That's the only reason he was there. He wasn't the champ at the time.
And Brian challenged Cole for the NXT championship.
Yeah.
I mean that doesn't take away from
that's
Adam Cole
beat
Daniel Bryan on the main roster in a championship match. It's just he was beating former world champion. But again, it's not.
But still, like off the heels of being a former world champion, like this was, it was pretty quick. Like I don't know. I say. Adam Cole's going to be fantastic wherever he goes.
Hell yeah. We can all agree on that.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree. So, James, we gotta know the news on the other outlets and frontiers, and you are the knowledgeable man. So please give us the tea, as the young people say.
Just a little miscellaneous on the rest of the week in wrestling. Impact Plus had another event, Emergence. And fun show, not quite a pay-per-view, but bigger than their weekly Impact shows. main evented by Christian Cage defending the Impact title for the first time since winning it from Kenny Omega. He defended it against former Edgehead Brian Myers, and it was a nice defense for Christian. He got his first one out of the gate, and nice little history there if you're a fan of Edge and Christian and the Edgeheads and everything. So a nice little familial connection. Switching over to another Edgehead, or another former Edgehead, Matt Cardona, formerly known as Zack Ryder, the current GCW champion, has been running amok over the, as he likes to call it, the GCW universe, acting as the perfect heel. If you haven't seen it, go look Matt Cardona up as cosplaying as ECW champion Vince McMahon. He has perfectly captured fans' hatred, and this is some of the best work Cardona has done in his career, and I just can't wait to see what comes next. And wrapping up on the New Japan front, Minoru Suzuki will be touring the United States for New Japan Strong, and he will be touring with other companies, including GCW. And this is a rare treat. He is a legend in New Japan. He's a legend in Japanese wrestling. Hell, he's a legend in wrestling, period. So if you have a chance, find him at one of his shows. He is worth the ticket price. And if you've never seen a Suzuki match, go watch one now. The man is terrifying and phenomenal. And yeah, that's it for the miscellaneous that I've got right now.
All right, fans, audience, everybody. First of all, I have to thank you, James. Without you, I wouldn't know half the shit that we know. But guys, unfortunately, we have run out of time. We could literally do this for hours, but we're trying to save you guys from the mark. So just a friendly goodbye from the Mark It Down podcast. Everyone say good day.
Good day and good night.
Everyone have a great day, not just a good day.
Wow.
Make it great.
Give up on Cross. Bye.
Mark It Down out.